Jeff again here, and this chapter again in this Working with the French video series. It's about marketing and sales and all that stuff. And uh, and I grew up in a culture, the American culture, where you're taught as a child from the age of 5 on, at least the age of 5 on, to do show and tell sessions in your kindergarten, and to do exposés and we're used to doing it. And it's a culture where, in general, North Americans and Americans from the U.S. are really good at marketing and sales. Okay, they're really good at marketing and sales, and to the point where they're just really good. But you come to France, and the French really struggle with it. They do, and in fact, no marketing salespeople are seen as bad. And this does go back to that the employee of the month, that whole thing when I did that other chapter, right, or that sub chapter talking about the book of Petit Nicolas and the whole thing of not liking the employee of the month and all that. This is very related, but it's another step above because it's so ingrained that they don't trust people that are actually they don't trust somebody that has that is trying to. You can say people say you're bragging stuff when you're sales. Well, yeah, salespeople do that, right? Salespeople are bragging about their product. They're bragging about their stuff. They're bragging about their things, right? And marketing people are bragging about their product and stuff. So this is kind of normal, and good salespeople do this. They just get it. So the French don't like it, and that's because of the other cultural aspect that we already talked about in another chapter. So the issue you're going to run into for salespeople, um, marketing salespeople, it's really hard to find French people that are really good at this. Um, you're going to spend a lot of time finding people, and you're going to be vetting a lot of people, and they're going to try to work like a system. They call it système D, and it's a système débrouillard. They're going to kind of go around the scenes and do workarounds. And there's a lot of pulling. They actually do a lot of. They do a lot of behind the scenes networking stuff, and their buddies, and there's a buddy system, and a lot of nepotism kind of stuff, and a lot of pulling strings behind the scenes and stuff. There's a lot of that's done. It's not really a transparent marketing and sales approach. It's not direct. There's a lot of indirect stuff behind the scenes, which can throw some politics into things. Just really can mess us up. You can really mess up some stuff, um, especially if this is kind of like I'm saying, if within their own culture it works because they understand it. But if you're working cross culturally, boy, you can get some stuff that can not work out. So the thing for the marketing and the salespeople for the French that need to understand is you need to up your game here if you want to sell stuff to internationally. Internationally, it works fine in France. Uh, and there's a thing of not really caring about other language and stuff, and we can get that in another chapter. But it's the thing that the French people are going to really struggle with is being a really aggressive quota salespeople. You won't find it. It'll be really struggling finding people to do this. They're really into the civil servant kind of approach. It's a culture has got a lot of civil servants. Um, and that's kind of the culture it is. And the kind of thing, well, we have our rights and we're going to do this. And I mean, and it's not going to find a few people, they're gems to find them. And it takes a lot of work to find people. And I actually found, I met a car dealer here, going looking for my, a car for a used car for my son. And I came across, I went to a bunch of car dealers to look for a car, and the same kind of salespeople, all kind of sales pitch, which is kind of like just, it just wasn't, it wasn't. And I came to this one guy, Freddie, and he understood it. He totally understood it. He understood that it's all about the customer. It's all about asking the right questions to the customer. It's right about asking what their needs are and stuff. And really getting to really and trying to market the things that were good for that customer, but figuring out what the customer wants. things. And it was like I just, it's like one of the first times in like 15 years here in this town, 20 years in this town, I found 20 plus years in this town here. I found someone, wow, just this guy understands it. He understands how to do this marketing and sales stuff. And he gets all word of mouth. It totally works. He's a unique person. Okay, just it's unique. And so he and I get along really well. And I gave him a few tips how to do things. He said, "Yeah, that's really good." So I was getting a bunch of tips that could just step up, get his to inch it up a little further along what he's already doing. Um, and there are so few people that French people that understand that they don't even want to take my advice because they don't even understand the first thing to get what it is. Um, so that's a thing that, and if you've got a lot of experience in sales and marketing and you come and tell the French people how to do it, they don't get it. They don't get it. And I've applied for positions too. I applied for positions in American stuff and they totally get it. But I applied for positions like in marketing and sales stuff in France. It's like, yeah, it, except for some people that really do. Some people do get it, and especially people that have worked internationally, so they get it. But so you'll find a lot of it's really tough to find French companies that are very aggressive in their sales and stuff, and uh, and that will actually overachieve quota by whatever. It's usually about underachieving it, low performing, unfortunately. Um, and to the point where they're never the market, they're never the sales group of the quarter or whatever, just not. Unless they're, so the risk of this, and the greatest risk that I find, to be honest, I've seen, is seeing when management from other countries will then get involved, and then they'll bulldoze it over. So, because they expect sales to be aggressive and to have quotas and to achieve, and that's kind of the real focus. I mean, I've seen even where like quotas in France, the whole thing of your quota is actually based upon, has been negotiated by all the workers council stuff. It's negotiated on low performance. It's really focused on low performance and not actually achieving target. So then it's a protection scheme. Okay, to get to, so you get 100%, but you haven't really sold very much. Um, Whereas a lot of the like an American thing, it's like you're 100% draw. 100% draw commission means you get paid when you sell it. And so it's a total different, a really different approach. Um, and so the whole thing is that if in this situation of you know multinational organizational you know kind of setups where if the French are ruled by under a French person, I want to say ruled by, but yeah, that's if they're under a French person that understands the French thing, then they're all going to be kind of all protector, right? But you bring in folks from that are like present stuff there that are from other countries that are brought up under kind of the Anglo-Saxon approach, and that could be British as well, or any of the Commonwealth countries, or under kind of the countries that are a lot more go-getters. Like Brazilians, it's not going to fly. I mean, what they'll want is they want the French, be able to try to convert the French. I have seen situations where I've seen foreign management try to convert or expect that the French salespeople and marketing people will become Anglo-Saxons. It ain't going to work. Ain't gonna work because they're not realizing this whole cultural thing behind the scenes that we talked about in that other chapter about that book called the Petit Nicolas, and that you don't want to be the employee of the month, right? So I've had to spend time trying to explain this and pitch this to foreign management over French people and explain this kind of stuff because um, it takes a while to get it to sink in. That it won't work that way, and they won't be able to turn these French people into these, Anglo-Saxons or Americans or whatever. That's not the goal because it won't work. You have to do it a completely different way. And so some of this can be, you got to teach them how to network differently. Networking, you got to teach them how to do um, the approach to sales and pitching. I mean, I spend a lot of time showing people how to do pitching and I've actually taken some of the pitching things I've done in English, and I've actually completely um, converted it into a French version with French images and French concepts with a bottle of wine and things, and that works because then they know what it is. But if you're using things that try to use English kind of words and English images, or they don't, it's all just aggressive marketing in French, they're not going to catch it. So it's really got to be very innovative with it. Again, I'm not saying that it can't be done, and I'm not saying that people with international experience have worked with international companies that work with the other countries, they're going to get it. They're going to get it because they've been put in that situation. But people that have not been in that situation and have only been brought up in the French culture are going to rarely get it, rarely. And so this is really a big challenge for companies and to actually grow and to survive. And I've had you can look at my resume. I mean, you can look at my online CV and resume on LinkedIn, and you can see all the companies I worked for. I've had a lot of employers, um, and I've seen lots of them in France. I've spent 3/4 of my career in France, so I know what how, and small and big ones too. And ones that have been under, that have been only local French, and have others have had management, higher management in other countries, and seen how the fun politics of that. The so this kind of thing to think about as you're beginning to the thing of the original article working with the French was how to get started in Europe. Then that can be hard. You start a new business, it can be doing a new venture, it can be doing a partnership, it can be doing, whatever. And one of my just warn them is, hey, watch out because the French aren't going to be heavy sales achievers, um, and I still see that 15 years later. I just still see it, and I'm constantly bringing this up, and I'm still regularly trying to. Um, and whatever. And I'm talking even in nonprofit associations and stuff. It's not just companies and institutions. I mean, it can be lots of different things. And there are few people. And it's funny when I see someone that's got some skills. I've actually had to do this, to tell you the truth. I've actually had to tell a person that had some skills that were very marketing focused and sales focused. But I had to tell the person, you're trying to do this in a French cultural environment, and this won't work. And the person didn't want to accept. And I said, you got to understand that you're trying to convert, you're trying to change these people, and they're not going to accept it because what you're going to do is just go against the grain. You got to do it a different way. You can't use that approach that is typically Anglo-Saxon. Okay. So I've actually had to tell people not to do it. It just really depends, and it really depends on the environment. You got to really check it out, and it depends how many French people there. It depends on what the kind of the spread is of people that are in what kind of jobs and stuff. And it's all about audience. It's all about audience. Sales and marketing is all about audience. It's not about what you're presenting. It's who you're presenting to, and and the French are just they have a difficulty actually doing that analysis. And when you finally get the people, and you finally get to train them, and you finally get to show them how to do it, then they get it, and then they do really well at it. I've had another colleague or several colleagues I actually trained how to do pitching, and they once we got past that trying to do it the French way of presenting all the stuff up front and stuff, and just got them to kind of just get rid of that and kind of get rid of that approach and to understand how to do it from the audience perspective, they can get some really good pitching in, and it's really exciting to see what they can do. Especially when doing it to international folks, they're used to doing it with French people, and they got to do it internationally. It's a big challenge. So yeah, there's there's just again some things. These are not these are a lot of experience and anecdotes, but hey, that's what it is usually when you're talking about how these things are done. I'm not going to go some of these things. I'm not going to go and look up articles and stuff because it's just a consistent thing seen in the culture for 3 decades. That's the way it works, and finding different ways how to do it, to for it to be adapted to the French culture and to be adapted to international relations and international cultures and multinational cultures and all that, because that's where you see these difficulties happening, is all this cross-cultural kind of things, not the monocultural kind of approach within the culture where it's understood. So hope to get something out of that one, and we're going to go to the next chapter,